Hey guys, welcome to Faithful Farm. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to fertilize your seedlings with organic fertilizers and also when to fertilize them. I'm not sure if I mentioned in my other videos, when I originally started my seed starting mix and I made it myself, I added no fertilizers into it. The reason for that is there's no life in the starting mix. There's no soil biology, no microbes. So there's nothing to break it down if you put in a granular type fertilizer. So you don't need to add any fertilizer to your starting mix. You could buy stuff that has fertilizer. It's not going to hurt anything, but you don't need it. Actually, the seed coat provides enough nutrients for the plant to grow up to a certain size, and then those first two leaves that break the surface are called the cotyledons. That's what gives the nutrients to the plant up to a certain size, and then it starts forming its true leaves. And when you start seeing the true leaves, that's when you want to start giving them supplemental fertilizer. We use here at Faithful Farm organic fertilizers. This is one product we use. It's a fish emulsion. It's a 5-1-1. It's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. 5% of this product is nitrogen, 1% is phosphorus, and 1% is potassium. You'll see these three numbers on every fertilizer product you buy, organic or synthetic. They also contain micronutrients. And this is a kelp meal. Again, that's the analysis right there, 0.13, 0.6, so it's very low. But this has a very good amount of micronutrients. The fish, people always wonder if it's going to smell. I honestly don't smell anything when I water or when I fertilize, and I ask my wife all the time, and she says she can't smell anything. So I believe that's a myth. Your house isn't going to reek of fish, so I recommend that. We stay away from the synthetic fertilizers. There's people that will say that it doesn't harm you. I believe that too much of anything will, and I just like using organic and non-chemically processed fertilizers is not what we use. So, as I was saying before, let me find a good example here. We could use some basil. So this is basil that I planted on March 6th. Today is the 28th, I believe. And you can see here that, let's see if it focuses on it. This leaf right here and these two bigger leaves are the cotyledons. That's what pops out of the soil first, and that's what gives the nutrients to the plant to grow to a stage about this size, maybe a little bit bigger. These other leaves that are on the inside here, those two smaller ones, are the first true leaves. That's what's going to keep growing. That's all the new vegetation that grows. It's going to be this set of leaves. Eventually the cotyledons will die off, they'll turn yellow, they'll fall off. It's not a big deal at all. So this is the indicator, the true leaves. There's a couple bigger ones right here. Another couple right here. That's when you want to fertilize. You could wait a little bit longer, but you don't want to wait too much longer. You want to get your first application down. And the way that we do it is just like how as we water from the bottom, I mix the soluble liquid fertilizer into a gallon of water. I pour it in the bottom of the tray, let it absorb for a half hour to an hour, and dump the excess out. Let's give you another example here with some spinach. This I could probably wait, but I want to kind of keep everything on the same schedule. You want to fertilize every 10 to 14 days with an organic fertilizer. So it's just more simple to keep everything on the same schedule, so you just fertilize all at the same time. Again, I overseeded this, so it kind of looks messy, but I'll end up thinning these out, and I'll go over a video on that in the future on how to thin. This one right here, these two right here that's connected by the seed, those are the cotyledons. That's again the first leaves that popped out of the soil. We'll zoom in, focus on it. There we go. These two here, the true leaves. That's when you want to start fertilizing. Do a tomato. These were planted on the 6th. Again, these two elongated looking leaves are the cotyledons. These two are the true leaves, and they will form the actual leaf of a tomato. They will look like a leaf of a tomato plant. A tricky one. Let me grab one over here. To see are onions and shallots. This is the overseeded onion, a yellow onion. Let me see if I can find a good one here that you could be able to see. This one right here that I'm touching, that's the first leaf that has the seed on top. That's the cotyledon. This little guy way down here, this little guy starting to grow out from the side here, that's the true leaf. They're kind of hard to tell. You got to actually really look down into your onions and shallots to see them, but that's what you look for. Some of these plants I've been fertilizing a little bit, like my lettuce that I've overseeded. Check out my video on how to overseed. That was also planted on the 6th too, so that's 2 to 3 weeks of growth. Probably another week I could start cutting this and start using it in my lettuce, but all these leaves that you're seeing there are pretty much the true leaves. Alright, so those are the indicators. Today I'm going to use the kelp. I like to switch off every other time I fertilize. I switch off the fish and the kelp. Just look on the directions. This is 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. Just want to mix it up nice. Get a gallon. This is already filled with water. Get your measurements. This is what the kelp meal looks like. It's very liquidy, doesn't smell. And you just pour it in 2 of these into your gallon. Oop. Mix it up. And then just as we watered before, take one out. Pour it in there. Another thing with this is you want to tend to do this when the starting mix is dry. None of these are all, I just watered these not too long ago, but I just wanted to make a video for you guys, and it was getting to that date where it was getting outside that 14-day since when the true leaves popped. So I wanted to just get it done. Usually you would wait for it to look like something like this, where it's dry. So just pour a little bit in there, and I'm also going to do on this side my onions. So let that sit for a half hour to an hour. Let it absorb. repeat the process. You could use the same stuff again. I like to switch between the kelp and the fish every 10 to 14 days. You don't want to over fertilize your plants. It's not healthy for them. Less for these are better because they're so tiny and they're such a confined space. If you do use your synthetic fertilizers, the analysis like on this, as I was saying, the 511, that will be something like something crazy, like a 20.05 or something. High numbers. You don't need that much for your seedlings. What you do is you cut that down in half, so you will get a 10.02.5. Cut that down again to a 5, 1.7, or whatever that is, that math that comes out to be. You want to stay around something around a 5.55. Less is fine. You could also cut this one in half if you want to, do a half strength. That's what I usually do for the fish. At this point, I'll do 1 tablespoon instead of 2 per gallon of water. But since the kelp is so low, I just do the full strength there. So again, just a quick review. True leaves, the indicators to fertilize. This is celery. This guy right here, once it zooms in, focuses, this is the true leaf, the one that has the shape. The two below it are the cotyledons. So that's pretty much it for fertilizing. If you have any further questions, please comment down below. Please subscribe, it's much appreciated. The warmer weather's coming, so we're going to start acclimating these plants to the outside. We'll go over that in another video. You don't want to just grow everything indoors. Go directly outside, plant them in your beds without acclimating them to the weather. The direct sunlight will affect them. You got to just slowly bring them outside, bring them back in for about a week, just so they get used to the outside world and the elements. We're going to be transplanting very soon. We'll have a video on that, on how to do that. And yeah, so comment below. If I have any questions, I'll answer them. And as always, have a great day and God bless.